Start with the core definition, right? What is virtual reality? As generally defined from the VR book, and I should mention Jason Gerald, who actually hired us on to produce this workshop series along with Ernie at AT&T. He's written this book called The VR Book, and it is literally the holy grail. It's 600 pages of somewhat mind-numbing content, but everything is in there in regard to virtual reality and immersive technologies. This is how he defines it. Right? Computer-generated or computer digital environment that can be experienced and interacted with as if that environment is real. That's a pretty subjective definition, and it leaves a lot of room for interpretation. So you'll hear some people argue, oh, well, this is virtual reality, but that's not virtual reality. The thing is, virtual reality actually describes a continuum. It's a spectrum. From the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, you have things like augmented reality. How many people here play Pokemon Go? Admit it. There's definitely more than that. Who's playing it right now? I did earlier. So you got augmented reality applications. We move down this spectrum through this middle ground of mixed reality, which I don't even know how to describe that one yet, into 360 imaging and video-based experiences, all the way to 3D, real-time 3D built environments. So we're seeing this very, very broad spectrum that is often misconstrued or may not be fully explained unless you think of virtual reality as a continuum. So augmented reality, as I mentioned, you might overlay information in the real world. You're holding up your phones right now. I'm not sure if you're projecting information over me or if you're taking a picture. That's funny because in 2 years from now, you really won't know what's happening, which is so scary. So yeah, the ability to overlay information on top of the real world. You're still in the real world. You're still checked into everything. You're just enhancing what's in front of you. Lots of applications there. 360 imaging has been around for a long time, right? You all actually have, if you have a smartphone, you have the ability to capture a full panoramic image and play that back in one of these platforms that we're going to mention to you. The advantage there is that the traditional 360 panoramic images, you can gain a very, very high resolution, gigapixel size images that you can zoom all the way into. That interaction has been around a while. It's just a little bit clunky to obtain. And then the whole video-based immersion factor is essentially where you use an array of cameras, in this case maybe 6 cameras, or anything more than 2 cameras, and you're projecting or filming from all different angles in one shot, and then combining those images together and then projecting that back on a sphere. We'll talk more in depth about this a little bit later. That gives you a sense of presence, and your head essentially controls where you're looking within that sphere. And then real-time, fully virtual worlds. This is just a quick clip from an application called Dual Tilt Brush, right? Where they've gone actually far beyond just standing or being inside of a virtual world, a 3D built world. This allows you to create a virtual world from in a virtual world, which gets really confusing really fast. These people have never come out into the real world again. They're gone. Super cool stuff. You can go to Best Buy or local electronics shop, and if you see one of these displays out and in the wild, definitely check it out. It cannot be explained. It has to be experienced.
Right on. I feel like now also with these real-time 3D environments, they're also experimenting with sort of like 3D scanning people and putting people into these environments. So this person here would be a 3D model, but they would look and move and act like a real person. The technology is not perfected, but it's trying to meld the two together. It's trying to get that real world feel inside a computer generated environment. So what is the difference between, let's say, a HTC Vive or an Oculus and what we would create and share on a Gear VR or a cardboard like you guys have here today? Does anybody think they know the main difference between the two? A good explanation of it that you guys have? All right, well, I'll give you mine. So a lot of times what we do when we share different virtual reality experiences at film festivals, we always tend to put people people and want to put people through a 360 video experience first. They've never done virtual reality before. 360 video is a really easy get. The first thing they do is they put it on and they're like, oh my God, I can look around, what's happening, how does this even work? And then you give them another VR experience, which just lets them move around the room, and it blows their mind even more. Now, if you do it the opposite, let's say you put them in an HTC Vive, like a tilt brush, and they're walking around and they're drawing these designs, and then you put a 360 video VR headset on them, and they start walking around and they're like, oh wait, I can't, it's broken, I can't move. So there's this expectation that you can walk around. And in 360 video, it's really about the immersion is created from being able to look around from a standing position rather than moving around. Because if you wanted to move around 360 video, you would actually have to move the camera. So this diagram here kind of shows how the two are different. In real-time tracking, computer-generated environments, they have, in the HTC Vive world, they have these lighthouses. They're basically boxes that stand on tripods, and they use lasers to track your position and kind of position you. So it tracks you, and then within the virtual experience, you can kind of like manipulate it and move it around. In the 360 video world, it uses a projection called equirectangular projection, and it basically projects that video onto a sphere around you, and you exist as kind of a camera that is able to look around inside of that sphere.
All right, so virtual reality then and now, right? It's not a new concept to want to project our audience members into another time, another dimension, another world. Way back 1861, the home stereoscope was invented. You put in this little stereoscopic card in front of the viewfinder, you hold it up, and you're transported to another time, another place. Not a whole lot different than the Viewmaster, which came out in 1962.
You know, I used to love my Viewmaster so much.
Awesome. Hours of endless entertainment. I don't know why we have technology.
I had National Parks, and I had Michael Jackson Thriller. I had a Thriller Viewmaster. Recently, I went to a meetup. This is about 2 years ago, so not recently, but recently as far as Viewmaster is concerned. I went to a meetup and it was all stereoscopic people. They were all interested in stereoscopic. And they brought old pictures and slides from when this was a huge kind of like booming industry. And they brought cameras that actually took these stereoscopic images from like 1960. And someone found an old box from like an antique shop, and it had pictures of a birthday party of their great-grandfather when he was turning 80-something. And everyone in the room was crying. They were putting these images on, and it said, "This is the last time I ever saw him." And I was so emotional because something about changing the image to be able to be stereoscopic, it made me feel like it was actually a frozen moment. It was actually a moment that I was looking at. And I think it's important to bring up this concept because I think when you're looking at virtual reality 360 video, what you're really talking about is capturing moments. I think it's like one of the truest ways to look at what we're doing.
And this actually reminded me, sorry, tangent. Did anyone find a pair of glasses lying around? One of our participants has lost a pair of glasses. I don't know if she found it or not. VR? They were not stereoscopic VR glasses. These were regular, old, everyday glasses. All right, sorry. If you find it, please return to this young lady over here. Thank you. All right, so progressing on, 1968, Ivan Sutherland creates the first head-mounted display. What? Look at that. That's pretty cool. That would fit in my living room, maybe. Giant device suspended from the ceiling, 500 some odd pound thing all over your head.
Kind of looks like a supervillain from the WB.
That's totally. And it projected three-dimensional objects in front of your eyes. So again, it's nothing new, but we've seen such a big change in the evolution of immersive technologies, virtual reality technologies. In the 80s, people wore really brightly colored shirts, and they went to VR arcades and paid $20 for 2 minutes of gameplay in this pretty clunky device that was kind of laggy and didn't have great resolution, but it was awesome because we never seen it before. It was cool stuff.
I never did it because the lines at Disney Quest were always way too long.
My mom told me no because it cost $20. So now, we've got, as Derek was mentioning before, HTC Vive, Oculus Rift, PlayStation VR. What was the stat? We have a stat on the number of units shipped?
Next slide.
No.
About 4 million.
4 million.
I'll
Thank you.
just ask you guys.
Yeah, if you guys got stats, please let us know. 4 million units. These are out there in the wild and are eons beyond what had happened back in 1968. That you kind of had a lull in the industry, and then all this stuff kind of came back in force due to various mergers and corporate Kickstarters and things like that.
A lot of people were really excited when Facebook bought Oculus because it really put virtual reality back in the public conversation. We're saying virtual reality has been around forever, but has it really? There are some people that I meet that have been sort of like pushing VR and waiting. Actually, not. They've been waiting because there have been a lot of like, VR's gonna break, it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't go anywhere. And they're like, oh, it's gonna happen, this is it. And I think Facebook buying Oculus was that break that a lot of those people were waiting for.
And then getting into more of the mobile device, oh look, here's the Viewmaster again, but it looks way cooler, and you just slot your phone in the front of it, just like a Google Cardboard. Same idea, same concept, newer technology, and so mobile-based, making it very portable, very accessible. We're seeing this rocket forwards very, very quickly as well. So what's the big difference? Why might it stick now?
Well, I think that there's like this word that we use called convergence because there's this convergence of technologies and work. There's people that we meet in the tech world and the filmmaking world and sort of like the communications world that are pushing all of these other aspects forward. So it might be certain chip technology, it might be a certain lens technology that has nothing to do with virtual reality, but helps virtual reality a lot. So one of the biggest things on the internet right now that's taking up all this data that everyone's talking about is video. Netflix being in everyone's home is just like chugging the bandwidth on the lines of people like AT&T around the country. But can you imagine if you multiply that? If you multiply that amount of bandwidth by like 3 times, if everyone was streaming virtual reality to their homes, you would need so much more bandwidth. And so this is like a part of the conversation. Compression technologies, headset technologies, like all of that stuff is converging in order to allow virtual reality to be what it is today. But the secret ingredient to it all is really the fact that everyone in this room, I'm making an assumption here, but if you got here, you probably have a cell phone in your pocket, a smartphone in your pocket. It's $1,000 screen. It's a screen that's like $1,000 in your pocket. And before, you didn't have that. You kind of had this big bulky thing that took up a room, or it doesn't even have to take up a room. It just has to cost $2,000. And who wants to spend $2,000 on a virtual reality thing that they use once and put a deposit after Christmas? So now, utilizing that screen that has amazing resolution on your phone to be able to create a virtual experience is really what just sent it over the edge. And as you can see on here, compared to all the VR headsets, there have been way more shipped devices of Samsung View VRs than the rest. So people are really, the accessibility and democratization of VR is happening because of the technology on the mobile phone.
I'm going to step back for a second. Does anybody know what this is a picture of? A Macintosh, nice. No. 3D printer, somebody said it over here, right? That going back to that multidisciplinary approach, that the maker space, the maker movement, the hacker space, cobbling things together. We're going to show you some full-on cobbled together stuff over here. One of the first 3D camera rigs that I purchased was a 3D printed rig, or actually that I built on a 3D printer. So those phenomena, those movements that are happening are all part of this convergence.
Yeah, there's a friend of ours who works at the Biz Lab at the Museum of Natural Sciences that just really kind of doing lots of work and lots of experiments and projects with them. And they are working to use 3D printing and sort of like affordable screens technology that you can order on like Alibaba. And they've created what they're calling the Oculus Rift. So basically people come into this Viz lab and they learn about 3D printing and they learn about computer rendering and they can create an experience and a headset all in that laboratory. And that's like a perfect example of like all the different disciplines that go into it.
Right, so...
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of explaining about all this stuff. And whenever we talk to a museum or a production company or a novice or my mom, I try to explain things to them, and it's just like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I get it. I see what you're saying. I totally get it. It's like 3D. So basically, it's just not something you can explain. And we had an experience at the museum where there was the head of the evolutionary biology lab was sort of like one of the talent in a video we were doing with the microscopic 360 project for virtual reality, which we'll show you later. And he admitted after doing the project, after everything, he was like, I have to admit, you guys, you did it. I'm like, what? He's like, I thought this was just like technology for technology's sake. I didn't think it was anything. And then I did the experience and I'm completely converted. And that happens to us every single day. And it's not until someone tries a virtual reality experience that they even understand it at all. So we wanted to show you a video of kind of like what we do when we share our productions and experiences with people. A lot of it, let's say 80% of it is experienced in live exhibition at museums or events or schools. The video we're going to show you is from the Museum of Natural Sciences in North Carolina. And internet, you're loading? So the project was called Bug VR, and basically what we had to do is we created a custom camera rig that would let us kind of go in and experience the work that the evolutionary biology lab was doing from like a microscopic level. So it's like a microscope, but you can look all the way around. And yeah, so you can see a lot of the different experiences that we're sharing.
And the reactions of the people is what's so critical to and such a driver for us.
So I always kind of make the comparison if, I was at one of these events, say a festival, and I had a booth and I was sharing a video or a film that I had created, like many of the people in here have done. And you just imagine like, hey, excuse me, hey, can you come over here? You want to watch a movie? You want to sit down and watch a movie? Like, take 5 minutes. Let's go watch a movie. It's really good, I promise. And with virtual reality, it's the exact opposite. People are coming up to us saying, can I look at what's in there?
From our point of view, way above the scale of ants, they might all appear the same. But once you get down and look at them on a species by species level and even on an individual level, you find that every species exists differently.
Ants are looking to have a balanced diet just like us. Their preferences at different times of the year and in different places around the world tell us certain different.
They're able to put the camera inside of a mold that they had made of an ant nest. That was super cool.
What places have you ever traveled to on our home? Your
one thing that's really good, speaking to the filmmakers in here, is a lot of times when you make something, it's about reiterating. You create an edit and you show it to your friends and your family and your peers, and they give you feedback on it, and then you re-edit it and you make it even better. And what's awesome about virtual reality is every time you put the headset on someone, you just get to watch them. They're like, oh, that over there is cool. Oh, that over there is scary. Or I'm kind of bored. And most of the time, people are just like completely wowed by the fact that they have the control to look around. I think one of the good examples of that is we did a project, an Ansel Adams project, where the 360 photography was of the redwoods, which are some of the biggest trees in the world. And normally, if you take a picture of a redwood, let's say we were to print it up on this wall like we saw in the museum, it's going to stop at the ceiling, just like a TV screen stops. Like if you have a picture of a redwood, there's no way to put a video of a redwood on a TV. It's impossible. You just cut it off and assume, okay, it's what it is. But what was really awesome is when the redwoods show up, you can see everybody, like 10 people down the line, like watching, and all of a sudden, whoop, you're like, oh, they're at the redwood part, because there's something that tree communicates to us. That tree tells us, oh, that's a really fat tree next to a person. It must be really tall, and it causes us to look up. And those sort of like user studies that we get every time we share VR is really incredible information.
We definitely treat a lot of our ongoing productions and I guess you can call this early-ish stage productions as an experiment. And the next thing we're going to do is experiment on you. So we're going to move into a segment now where we want you to have an opportunity to test out a platform, delivery platform, and experience some of these films. So this is going to give about 30 minutes, and we're going to give you some very, very important instructions, step-by-step instructions. There will be a quiz at the end. The quiz is, did you get to watch a film or not? And follow those instructions. It's going to require your mobile device. Hopefully everybody bought headphones or earbuds or something that it's not a do or die, but definitely a much better experience if we have earbuds with you. And we'll walk you through this experience. So go ahead and break out your mobile devices.
Yeah, so one thing I was going to say is I saw everyone kind of messing with these already. Once you take it out of the box, it kind of like looks like a little rectangle. And I think the first thing we intuitively want to do is open it up like this and kind of stick the phone right here. But actually this part right here, it flips over like this and Velcros on the sides. So it makes like a little hood on the front. And so this is kind of what it should look like here. It's got like the Batman horns on the back and then the holes on the front. And
then when you got it put together, slide your phone in. Before you put your phone in, actually, slides, go ahead and download a Segundo VR app from either the Google Play Store or the iOS Store. One of the things that is required here is that your mobile device has both the accelerometer and a gyroscope. This is kind of a big deal breaker. And we both actually do a lot of work in, as you saw, kind of K-12 STEM education side of things. So some less expensive devices may not have both the accelerometer and the gyroscope in it. You're going to find out real fast if your device is compatible with virtual reality technology. So in case you walk out of here and go shopping for a new device, make sure it has both of those two functions as part of the hardware in that device. So once you get that, and make sure you download this app. The icon should look exactly like that. There's might be one slightly different app called like Lab or something. Don't download that. Download one that looks like this. And once you've got that downloading, go ahead and install it, set it up. Go ahead and get your Google Cardboard assembled and ready to go. Make sure it fits inside of your cardboard. Some phones. Second? Oh, it's coming. It's a coming. Do you want to show you the yeah, go back. Yeah, that's it. All right, so once you got the app installed, you're going to go to the menu, which is upper left-hand side, and go to launch QR code, and then we're going to bring up the QR code that you see next. And then once that's loaded, you should see, we'll bring that up in just a second, you see the screen, and you can put it into what's called a magic window mode, where you're just holding up your device. In case you don't want to use your Google Cardboard, you can play the experience just by holding up your device and panning around, or using your finger to pan around the screen. This is for those of you who have devices that may not have both accelerometer and a gyroscope. You can just use your finger to scroll around the screen. Or you toggle it to cardboard mode and go ahead and put the cardboard in your face. So what we want you to do is take a good chunk of time. We're going to take about 15 minutes to start. And we want you to watch at least 2 or 3 of those video experiences in the menu. You'll see the menu item. The way you get or watch those videos is by gazing or gaze tracking to any one of these little circles, right? And that will bring up or initiate the video, and it should start playing. What we don't know is the capacity of your cell phone carrier, so whatever this is using AT&T, thank you, or the Wi-Fi in the room. So that may or may not work, and that goes back to something that we said earlier about the bandwidth. So let's give it a try, see what we can do, and hopefully everybody gets that experience. If for some reason you cannot scan the QR code from where you're sitting, you can also, once your Wanda VR application is installed, you can type in this short link, this bit.ly, and it should pop up and open up your Wanda VR application. If you need to come up or go over to one of the screens, please feel free to do so. Just don't knock over the camera here, but it'll cost you a lot of money. And we've got some folks to come around and help you out as well.
How do you know if you're that way or that way?
It doesn't seem to be working.
Right, yours, the accelerometer is not enabled, so it's not going to know which is up or down. But you can use your finger to scroll around, so just put in magic window mode, and you should still be able to navigate. No, not that. Make sure you use the code that's on the screen, not the code that's on the Google card. Either try